Hi everyone, welcome to Jack's 5-month update. He is pretty much 5.5 months. I did record this earlier, but something happened to it. I don't know, it's just not working. So I'm tearing it up here. 5 months was just too fast. I don't know how long he's going to sit here because he's pretty active and he gets bored easily, so we will see. So let's just get started. Hey bud, I love you. Okay. Ow! Ow. So let's just get started. First I want to talk about sleep. So we were co-sleeping, but we traveled to Newfoundland on the 21st. So he was 4 months on the 18th, and we pretty much spent that whole month in Newfoundland. Hi. So when we were home, we did co-sleep for a couple weeks, and then when Byron got home, he slept with us a few nights, but it's just not comfortable in like a queen size bed with the three of us. So I started putting him, we were staying in my camper, in my mom and dad's trailer camper in the driveway. So I started putting him in like the back room for nighttime, because his naps he was taking, I can't think today. His naps he was taking in bed by himself anyways, and when we were home I already started him in his crib for nap times. For his naps, I always lay down next to him and I would feed him, and then I would kind of just like roll off the bed. And usually he would fall asleep on the boob and just continue on with his nap. But he started, after I was done feeding him, he would kind of be like wide awake and he would start babbling. So I would still just get up and leave, and he would talk to himself for a little bit, and eventually he would fall asleep on his own. So I guess it was like early self-soothing, and I just thought it was so strange that he would do that, but it was nice. Feeding, I'm still exclusively breastfeeding. So this is only about the 5 months. I will make one for 6 months too, even though we're already halfway through that month, but this is just like his 4th month. I was still exclusively breastfeeding. I am waiting until he's 6 months old before I introduce any other foods. I gave up pumping, so I'm not pumping anymore, but I think I'm going to start picking it up again. When he is feeding, he is always good with his hands, pinching, grabbing hands in the mouth, up the nose, pulling on your skin, pulling on my shirt. His hands are just everywhere. So like all the other stuff, he loves touching faces. I think it's just the cutest thing when he puts both of his hands on either side of your face and just looks at you. It's really nice. I started him in his exerciser, so I did get one right before I traveled east, and he kind of just like sat in it and didn't really do anything. But then when I got home, my mom borrowed one from her friend and he loved it. He has a smile for everyone. If you talk to him, he will have a smile for you. And he started laughing in his 4th month. Oh, you're spitting up. You spit up, my babe. Ow. He was kind of like giggling here and there before, but it was never like a full-on laugh. And the day I got home, he giggled at my mom. It was the cutest thing. So yeah, he's officially laughing. He sucks on his bottom lip a lot, and he gets that from his dad because Byron does that all the time. He started reaching for things, so he reaches for toys and he'll reach for you to pick him up. That's kind of exciting. Here, look, play with your bunny. Oh, he's starting to get cranky. If we are sitting at the table, He has to be picking at your plate. He's smacking the table. He's trying to get your plate and reach for your glass. And if you're drinking or picking it with your spoon or fork, he's like whacking at it, trying to get it. He loves watching Tucker, and he'll laugh at Tucker. And he's just so interested in him when he walks by. He's just like staring at him. I think I said he found his feet in the last video, but now he always has his feet in his mouth and always playing with his feet. It's the cutest thing. Yes it is. Yes it is. Do 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 do. He is a very loud baby, so he babbles a lot. He doesn't cry a lot. He just talks and babbles, and it's very loud. He's very vocal. When he's tired and falling asleep, he'll usually go on like a spurt of like babbling, and that's when you kind of know that he's tired. He always has to be standing. He's not a fan of sitting. He loves to be on his legs and on his feet. I started bathing him every night for a routine. I wasn't going to bath him every night because it can really dry out their skin, but it is a I use it as a routine. I don't wash him every night. I'll just put him in water, and he loves the water. He needs to be stimulated a lot more, as you can tell. It's almost like he gets bored. So he's kind of in between where he can't really play with himself. You need to play with him, and it takes a lot of work. When he's awake, all of my time is like focused on him and keeping him happy. He started teething in full force. He drools a lot, soaking his clothes. He's chewing on everything. I was giving, no, that's a lie. Oh, I don't have it here. I'll have to take a picture of it. But I gave him Tylenol a few times now. It was the first time I gave it to him, and it was hard for me to give him Tylenol for some reason. Like, I don't know why, I just didn't want to give it to him, but my mom was like, don't be silly, just give him Tylenol. Like, he's teething really bad, so I did. I wasn't fussy on it, but I did. And I also, I was using the pumpkin teething oil, I believe it's called, and I was using that all the time, and I don't know, it's hard to tell if it works or not. I think it worked, but I'm not really sure. So yeah, and then I gave him Tylenol a few times, and I also bought the teething, I don't know if it's oil or whatever it is. It's the same brand as the gas drops that I had when he was a newborn, and I use those too. He started rolling over. He can roll from his back to his belly, but he still hasn't mastered belly to back. And when he's on his belly, he like does full circles, like 360s. I don't know, like not rolling over, but on his belly, like turning. I don't know, it's hard to explain. He can maneuver around a lot. He has rolled from his belly to his back, but it's only been a couple times, so he hasn't mastered that yet. He loves to be bounced. When it's not bounced, I had to be walking around with him, so I started that. Everyone tells me that I shouldn't have started that, and I'm going to regret it, because he needs to be, whenever he gets cranky, he wants to, you have to stand, not walk around with him. If you sit down, for some reason, he knows and he'll freak out. But if you stand, he's fine. I don't know. He loves to look around and be nosy, I guess. He had his first plane ride. So when we flew east on the 21st, and then we flew back. And he was really good. I was really nervous about it because I flew home by myself with him, but he slept the whole way. Coming back, he was almost like a full month older, so he was a lot more pickier, and he wanted to be playing and this and that, so I'm glad Byron was there with me to help me with that. Even though Byron pretty much slept the whole way, but he helped with like bags and stuff, but I pretty much had Jack up the whole time because every time I passed him to Byron, he would cry and reach for me. I finally switched him to size 2 diapers about halfway through his 4th month. So when he was 4.5 months old, he was mostly in size 0 to 3 months, and then some 3 to 6 clothing. Mostly he was still in 3-month clothing. He's getting tired. At 5 months he weighed 15 pounds 3 ounces and around 63 centimeters, I believe, for height. Anyways, both of it was, he was 18th percentile, so he's still on the smaller end of the scale. He totally needs a nap right now. Oh, so vaccination. So he didn't get his 4-month vaccinations until he was 5 months old because where I traveled, everything got screwed up. I changed my tickets. He was supposed to have it before we went home, but he didn't get a chance. So when we came back, he had them. So technically it should be in the next video, but I'm going to talk about it in this video because it should have been in this video. So he had 3 vaccinations and he cried with each of them. But I didn't cry. That's good. That day, because he had them about 11 a.m., I didn't notice a huge difference in him, but that night was horrible. He woke a few more times more than he usually do, and it took a lot more work to get him to sleep. And he had a fever that night, so he had a fever of 38.9, I think it was, so not horrible, but I did give him Tylenol for that, and I put him back down. I think the nurse told me anything, I thought she said 38.5 over that was a fever. I could be wrong. And then the next morning he woke up with a rash on his belly, so I'm pretty sure that was from vaccinations, but it could have been from teething, I'm not really sure. And then that next day he just wanted to be up in your arms all day, and cranky, and he just wanted to be cuddled. But the first 2 nights were a little rough, rougher than normal anyways. After that, he was fine. It took a lot more work to get him to sleep at night. Like for example, once I was up with him an hour and a half. I would feed him, bless you, and he would fall asleep. I would put him down, he would wake. I would pick him up, he would fall asleep, no problem. He would calm down, and then I put him down and he would wake up crying. So it took like an hour and a half once to get him to sleep. He also had what I assume is diarrhea because their poop is runny anyways, at least his is. I'm not sure if formula fed babies poops are runny, but his is. So I always find it funny, like, how can babies get diarrhea if their poop is runny anyways? But I think what it is was they poop more often. So usually he only poops once a day, but he was pooping, he probably had like 4 or 5 poops that one day. And it was just smaller poops, and it was a bit different in color too. Like, instead of that mustardy yellow, it was kind of like greenish, I think. So I think maybe that's what diarrhea is in babies. I could be wrong. Postpartum, I just have a couple things. At his vaccination appointment, the nurse always asks you like how you are postpartum wise, and I mentioned the discharge thing because I'm still having lots of discharge at 5 months postpartum, and I've asked a few people now, and they just say they kind of look at me funny and they're like, oh, that's weird, but they don't usually say anything more. But this one nurse, she said, at first she was like, oh, that's weird, but then a couple minutes later she's like, oh, it's because you're breastfeeding. And I said, really? I said, no one's never ever said that to me. And she said, yes, it's because you're breastfeeding. She said most women, you'll hear they complain of dryness, but she said sometimes it can go the other way. You can have excess discharge. So of course I have to be the odd one. So at least I know what it is, because it was driving me crazy. As for breastfeeding, I plan on breastfeeding for a year. There are definitely days that I want to give it up because it is exhausting. It is hard work. He doesn't take bottles very often ever, really. He only had, I think, 1 or 2 when we were home. I'm definitely more emotional since giving birth, and even at the end of my pregnancy, I was emotional. I get overwhelmed more easily, and I cry more. I wouldn't say I'm depressed, but because before pregnancy I wasn't an emotional well, I was really good at hiding my emotions, I should say, and now I can't do that so good, and I've cried a few more times than normal. To be honest, sometimes I do get frustrated with him when he won't sleep. It was nice when I was home because I have family to help me, and they of course loved having Jack. It's my parents' first grandbaby, so they had him up a lot, and it was just really nice to have all the extra help. And as for hair loss, it was really bad for like 2 weeks, and then it kind of went away. So right now, I mean, it's still falling out a little bit, but not so bad as it was. Like before, there was hairballs coming out, and it lasted, I would say, about 2 weeks. I think that's pretty much it for this update. I am so shocked that Jack sat here this whole time because he usually don't want to sit for too long, and he gets bored and cranky and cries. So good job, Jack. I'm so proud of you. Yeah. What? But anyways, thank you so much for watching. Sadly, yeah, Jack is a bit bigger than he was at 5 months. Obviously, he's pretty much 5.5 months. So there probably won't be that much change when I do his 6-month update. But look how big you are. Let's take off this bib because it's humongous. There. There, that's how big you were. What you got? Everything goes in the mouth. Like everything. You want to say bye-bye? Oh, want to say bye-bye? Look! He loves looking at. Oh, where are you going? Where are you going? There he is. Oh, hi. Hi. I can see 2 teeth coming, his 2 top teeth. I always looked on the bottom of his gums for his teeth, but his top front ones, you can see the shape of the tooth, like the print on the front of his gums. So like up here, not an under, if you're ever looking for their teeth. And I'm pretty sure I can see the 2 bottom ones too. So he might be like having 4 teeth come in at once, and that's why he's so bad, but he is teething really bad. And there's nothing broke through as of right now either. But anyways, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in only a couple weeks for his next update. Say bye-bye. Bye-bye. Oh. There he is. There he is. This is my baby bear. Mommy's baby bear. I love you. I love you. Alright, bye guys.